Here's the thing about Sex and the City 2, okay?
Is it worse than Sex and the City 1?
That's going to be the question. That's the title of the YouTube video, Jordan. Is Sex and the City 2 worse than Sex and the City 1?
It's been 2 years. Happy anniversary.
Me and you, just us two.
And in 2 years, amazing things can happen.
I made it. I never make it.
Really? You're driving me crazy. I've tricked my body into thinking it's younger. How are you going to swallow all those? Have we met?
As for me, Big and I were somewhere between wild sex.
And I maintain every criticism I said about the first one, right? They're all awful people. None of this is relatable. At one point, Charlotte gets upset because her child smacks her on the butt with like dirty hands and like gets gross shit all over her very expensive clothes that she shouldn't be wearing around a 3-year-old. Like, I'm like, who? Or like one of the lines is, I do it with help, and I'm like, I don't. Who finds this relatable? I don't understand. But then again, I don't have kids and I'm not a woman.
Yeah, you're not a mother.
So for most of this, for the first, I'd say 15.
That's where if the joke fits, you should have said, "Well, hey, neither are they."
Neither are they. No. Some of them are. Some of them are. Half of the cast are moms in that movie.
But are they moms or are they moms?
I mean, they have kids. It's part of the plot of this movie.
Right. But are they bad moms? Is the joke.
We'll get there. We'll get there. No, fundamentally. So okay. Let me continue my introduction to this. So for the first, I'd say 15-20 minutes of this movie, I was like, this is relative quality to the first one. It's equally as bad. I don't get it. This is just as bad as the first one. Like, I think I posted a clip of Liza Minnelli badly singing Single Ladies in a scene that goes on for a fucking eternity. It was so... I'm like, is the joke that she's singing it badly? I don't get it. Do people think she's singing this song well? I don't And there's like 3 shots of Kim Cattrall doing the dance. And it just kind of looks like they filmed her singing
all
this...
the single ladies.
It's like that...
All the single ladies. All the single ladies.
That one. Just for like, it just keeps cutting back to her doing the one dance move. And it just goes on forever. It just feels like they just let Liza Minnelli perform this song and then just filmed it. Like, and then just put the whole thing without cutting any of it in the movie. Now, okay, number one, this movie's too fucking long. I said that about the first one. It's even more true here. This movie could have been 1 hour and 45 minutes or 2 hours long, and you wouldn't have missed a goddamn thing. So anyway, so for the first 20 to 30 minutes of this movie, I'm like, it's more or less the same as the first one. And I'm reading Wikipedia, and it's saying it's one of the worst movies of all time, and like everyone hates it, and there's just these really cruel things that are being said about it. And I'm like, I don't get it. This seems like the same. And then the characters go to Abu Dhabi. And it's like, oh, and then the back half of the movie takes place in Abu Dhabi, and it's like, oh, it's racist. Oh, that's why. Oh, the characters are saying a bunch of racism. Oh yeah, this might be worse than the first one, on that metric alone. Like the characters individually say so much racism. It's really Islamophobic. Really shockingly Islamophobic. That having been said, I think personally, Islamophobia and racism aside, I actually liked it better than the first one. I know. Everyone kept trying to convince me it was worse, and like, yeah, maybe fundamentally it probably is worse, right? But there are scenes in this that I enjoyed so much more, that I thought were 1,000 times more interesting, that are buried under layers of crap. Like, there's a really interesting subplot.
So out of context, that might be a funny clip where it's like, yeah, this movie is really Islamophobic and it's horribly racist, and I like it more.
No, I don't like it because it's Islamophobic. There are elements of it I enjoyed more than the first one. Like,
that's just where I say out of context, it sounds funny.
Like Charlotte has this subplot about how she's overwhelmed with the kids, and how the one kid is like attached to her at the hip and won't leave her alone. And the big conflict in the movie is Big and Carrie have been married for 2 years, and they've kind of settled into like domestic life, and she's insecure about the fact that she's worried about becoming like a boring married couple, and he just wants to hang out at home and watch TV and sit on the couch, and he doesn't want to go out every night. And like she essentially bullies him into going out, and he goes out and starts to have fun, and then she gets mad and drags him away. And then he's like, what do you want? I do the thing you want, you get upset. I don't do the thing you want, you get upset. Like, what do you want? And she like leaves to go, because she still has her old apartment from the first movie. So she goes to stay there for a couple days to like write. And now that they've had that break apart, they want to be together. And he suggests, oh, well, what if we take those 2 days apart and one of us stays at the apartment, and she's like, well, that hurts my feelings. And Charlotte's like, well, if you're married, shouldn't you be around your wife or husband like all the time? Like, doesn't that hurt your feelings? And over the course of the movie, she starts to like, because they're in Abu Dhabi on vacation, she starts to relax and is like, oh, now that I've had some time off and I've slept for 12 hours, I can see that like having my own identity apart from my family is healthy, and that like you shouldn't be attached to a person every single moment of the day. And in order to achieve individual identity, you need moments where you can have introspection, like, which is like, yeah.
So she gets common sense.
Right, exactly. Where it's like, yeah, man, you don't need to be with your husband, like, at least as far as I'm concerned, every single day. Like, yeah, maybe you should have your own individual hobbies. I don't know. I'm naive. I'm not married, but maybe you should have your own individual hobbies that don't involve your husband or wife or kids. Like, do your own thing, have your own friends. Like, that seems important to sustain a healthy relationship. But then again, I'm not in one. What do I know?
I'm no expert. I
I'm no
can't
expert.
judge.
I can't judge. And so yeah, there's a bunch of the movie involves them being in Abu Dhabi, and Samantha is now.
I'm no expert, but I will say, even just in a normal dynamic of between two people, if I had to spend 24/7 around you,
I'd kill you.
I'd kill you.
I'd kill you.
I'd kill you, and I'd make it look like an accident.
Absolutely.
Because you would long have driven me crazy.
Oh no, absolutely. I would have thoroughly strangled you to death. No, it's true. It's true. It's absolutely true. I cannot deny that. You need moments apart.
I like you, but I need to be away from you every now and then.
Right, exactly, right. And it's just so bizarre, because it's like people who are in my opinion, people who seem to be way too old to be learning this lesson. I don't know. And then another part of it is the only one who doesn't have any conflict in this movie is Miranda. She has like no conflict other than, oh, sorry, that's not true. Her one conflict is her boss is played by Ron White, and is a prick who like she describes him as, he does this when she's speaking.
That's the worst.
Yeah. When she's speaking, and so she ends up quitting, and so she's on this thing. The whole thing sort of culminates in, and this is why I enjoyed this movie more, because in the last one, every character in that movie is miserable. Like, every one of them, with the exception of Charlotte, is utterly miserable for most of that movie. And they're just unpleasant, or they're complaining about stuff that are dumb. Whereas in this one, like, they're all happy and like having a good time, and the conflicts are like small and minute, and like they're not really that big a deal, and they're talked about, they're discussed. And like, my favorite scene in this movie is Miranda and Charlotte are like at a bar together, and Miranda's like, I could tell you're about to crack. I'm also a mom. I see you. I see what you're going through. You need to complain, basically. You need to take a moment and you need to complain. And she goes, my son drives me crazy sometimes. I love him, but sometimes he drives me crazy. Your turn, please. And it's a really, I love moments of that. Like, I've got really good friends. I've got friends who it's like, I appreciate when you're honest and you don't pretend like having kids is always awesome. Like that, I respect that. I respect that level of vulnerability. And that, to me, that stuff was interesting. The characters are having fun in this movie, and it's way more. It seems seem to be having way more fun.
So what you're saying is this movie makes you want to go back and watch more of the show?
Absolutely not. No, I'd rather fucking die.
So next week we'll come back and you'll tell us about the first 10 episodes of the
No,
show. Got it.
absolutely fucking not. The one character who bothers me the most though is I've discovered I can't stand Samantha. I can't stand her.
That's the redhead.
No, Samantha's the other blonde one.
Oh, the slut.
Yes, the slut. Yes, and that's her whole bit. That's her whole bit in this movie is she's now 50. She's going through menopause, and she can no longer have the same.
I feel it important to clarify. That's not me being offensive. That's what I know of the show. She's supposed to be that archetype.
I believe she describes herself as such at some point. Like I don't understand why or how these four women are friends. They seemingly have very little and to be fair, maybe if I watched however many seasons of the show I would get it, but they seemingly have nothing in common. They're drastically different people. Like there's a scene, there's so many more scenes of Samantha just having loud sex. Like there's like two of them. And like there's one where it's like she's having really loud sex in the other room while they're like kids in the next room. And I'm like, why are you friends with this awful woman? Like, I don't get it. Like, and then later on, they're in Abu Dhabi.
I mean, knowing what I know of how shows are written, I imagine that it's the archetype of, oh, she's the friend that gets to have like in How I Met Your Mother, Barney.
She's Barney, I
Like
guess.
she's their Barney, where it's like you get to go and do all the things that I don't have the confidence to do, and I could never do that. That's crazy.
But her whole story arc in this movie, or her character arc in this movie, is like she's trying not to be old, but the movie doesn't like end with her. Like there's a point in the movie where she's at this premiere and she's wearing a dress that's weight or they characterize. I don't see whatever, but they characterize it as way too young for her. And then Miley Cyrus shows up and like they're wearing the same dress and like they like kind of hug each other and like, girl power or whatever. But like they go to Abu Dhabi, right? She gets invited to Abu Dhabi to help promote something. And the whole thing with Abu Dhabi is, at least as far as this movie is concerned, it has modesty laws. So you can't kiss in public, you can't do anything sexual in public, you have to dress modestly, all sorts of stuff. And so she keeps getting in trouble because she keeps doing lewd acts in public and she keeps nearly getting them arrested or deported. So like at one point she makes out with a guy, she constantly wears like revealing outfits, and the whole thing is she gets to Abu Dhabi, she has all these pills and drugs that she's taking to keep her off of menopause. And like they get confiscated, so she's slowly starting to go through menopause through the while trying to like so at the end of the movie it ends with her getting all of her drugs back. So it's like she doesn't like learn the lesson that she needs to like accept her age and like accept that she's aging gracefully and age as a no, she doesn't really go through a significant character arc, and then the character never comes back. Like they did a follow-up sequel show where every other character comes back except for her in like one scene where her and Carrie talk to each other off camera over the phone. That's
I think
it.
I remember you mentioning that last review.
Apparently they were gonna do a third movie, and Kim Cattrall didn't want to do it because it involved there's two parts to this. I don't remember, but the one part of it was it involved the 14-year-old Miranda's son sending nude photos of his junk to Samantha, and she felt uncomfortable with that.
Yeah, that crosses a line for
But
sure.
Overall, like again, I understand why people went this one's worse than the first one. It is agonizingly long. Scenes go on forever. There's a second musical number towards the middle where they sing "I Am Woman" that just goes on for a fucking eternity. It feels unnecessary. Yeah, but I just don't think it's worth. I overall, I enjoyed it more than the first one. The first one I hated so thoroughly. This one I didn't hate nearly as much. I don't know.
Maybe you're just burnt out.
Maybe, but I enjoyed the characters way more in this than I did in the last one. The last one it was just
Or
a parade
maybe-
of misery and just awful. This was
Or maybe I'm gonna come home from work one day and secretly find you watching Sex in the City, and you're gonna be like, it's
Absolutely
okay,
not.
Jordan. I love it now.
I do not have enough
Help
hours in
me.
a week to subject myself to that. No, absolutely not. I do recognize it's a bad movie. I do. I just don't think it's worse than the first one. I don't. Overall, I don't think it's worse than the first one.
Methinks he doth protest too much.
No, I am absolutely never going to watch Sex and the City. You will be. You will be watching one or both of these movies in the future. All 2.5 hours of them.
I decline. I declined your kind offer.
You don't get to decline. You will not get to decline.
It's gonna be a hard pass from Jordan.
The only part of it, there's another part of it where you get to see Alice Eve. Alice Eve is very pretty. She plays the Irish nanny. She's very pretty. I enjoyed her performance in this movie. That's all I will say. It's a bad movie, Jordan. That's it. That's it for this week. That's it. Next week I get my agency back. What is up, everybody? Justin here. Let me know in the comments, which Sex and the City movie do you hate more? The first one or the second one? Which one was your favorite? Which one's your least favorite? Are you like me? Do you just generally hate both of these movies? Let me know. And if you would like to, you can click the video on the left. That's going to take you to the full podcast that this video is from. And if you would like, you can click the video on the right, and YouTube is going to suggest a video that you will probably enjoy. Otherwise, we'll see you in the next video, everybody. Hit subscribe if you haven't already. We'll see you next time. Have a good day.